Since I first got my hands on my PlayStation 5 back in April, the question I first asked myself was what games I should be playing on it first. Now while it's been fun going back and playing some of my older PlayStation 4 games on my new system like Days Gone and Horizon Zero Dawn, one must always be thinking about the future and what new games will take advantage of what the PlayStation 5 could do, and right from the beginning I felt that Returnal would become the first great new PlayStation exclusive property that would reign in this new generation of PlayStation. And while Returnal is not perfect, it was successful in reminding me why I picked up my PlayStation 5 when I did, and it was totally worth it. The primary story for Returnal serves as a psychological horror which has you take control of Astra Corporation explorer Celine as she attempts to investigate a mysterious signal which she calls the White Shadow. This signal leads Celine to another planet, and upon arrival her ship is damaged and Celine is forced to make a crash landing. As she begins to explore the planet, she encounters several hostile alien creatures that attack her, but then something unexpected happens. After being killed, she finds herself waking up back at the crash site and discovers that she has somehow been placed in some kind of time loop. As Celine explores the planet, she finds several corpses of previous versions of herself that have also been there, and the audio recordings left behind reveal how the planet has had an effect on all these different versions of herself. As she continues to explore the planet, she will from time to time discover a physical manifestation of her old childhood home and experience flashes from her past, and Celine comes to believe that this White Shadow is the cause of the time loop. And from that point on, Celine is determined to fight her way across different locations of the planet to find the White Shadow so she can break the loop and find a way home. Now the gameplay for Returnal serves as a third-person exploration shooter which incorporates roguelike gameplay elements. The exploration aspect will have you travel to several different locations across the planet that each have their own unique theme. The level structure for each of these environments is meant to create a sense of closeness, adding a great amount of platforming depending on your area. The combat aspect will have you fight multiple different forms of hostile enemies, and depending on which environment you are in, the enemies may change to fit that specific area. Now, there are also multiple bosses that you'll have to fight through across the game that will really test your reflexes in battle, and each boss can fire waves of projectiles and multiple lasers in an attempt to kill you. Now, as you defeat enemies, you will collect currency that can then be used to purchase consumables and artifacts to upgrade you to help you in battle. You can also collect items known as ethers, and these ethers have a number of uses. They can be used as a secondary form of currency, or you can choose to save them up and use them to cleanse minerals and prevent them from causing a malfunction in your suit. Now if you do experience a suit malfunction, it will add a negative perk to Celine, but they can be removed by completing a certain task. As you explore your areas, you will encounter what are called parasites, and if you choose to attach them, they will add a specific perk to Celine, but will also come with a negative effect too. And in some cases, it can actually also cause a suit malfunction. While fighting your enemies, there are a large collection of weapons that you will discover throughout the game, and each has a unique primary and secondary firing setting. As you continue to use a specific weapon, your adrenaline level and proficiency for that weapon will increase. Adrenaline enhances the effectiveness of your weapon, but if you get hit, it will reset your adrenaline level back to 0 and you will have to build it back up again. If you find a specific weapon that you enjoy using and you choose to stick with it for a long period of time, you can increase your proficiency with that specific weapon, and as you level up your proficiency with that weapon, it'll add multiple different firing perks to that weapon that will remain permanent every time you pick it up. As you progress through the game, you will encounter a series of specific alien tech that will attach to Celine, and these are used to help you access new areas that will grant you the ability to move through the map much faster. Now when you die, you will respawn back at the crash site, which will cause you to lose your currency, weapon, parasites, consumables, and upgrades, with the only thing carrying over being either the ether or the alien tech that you have collected. What's more is that every time you respawn, the layout of the map completely changes, and this applies to not only certain rooms and locations, but the placement of enemies and mini-bosses too. The only ways to continue on when you go down is either to have a specific item equipped that will revive you, or you can use a device called a reconstructor, which is powered by spending 6 ether, which will give you a second life in a safe area and give you another chance to continue on without having to start a new run. There is a big risk factor when it comes to playing Returnal. As you progress through the game, you will have to make decisions on which items you collect and which that you pass up on, which perks to add and which ones you think are useful in certain situations. And in many cases, you may actually find yourself actually regressing backwards in the process of attempting to try to move forward. You must do your best to make the best decisions when it comes to what resources you choose to collect, as many runs can last for several hours, and all it takes is one critical mistake and you will have to start all the way from the beginning. When you're not exploring or fighting off enemies, from time to time you can actually visit Celine's house, and this will take you into a first-person perspective, and as you explore the house, you will see all kinds of crazy sights that will make you question exactly what is going on, but these sections are effective in showing the mental state that Celine is in at that moment. One thing I would like to mention is how the haptic feedback works for the DualSense controller while playing Returnal. While playing, not only will you feel different levels of intensity depending on the impact that Celine feels when she gets hit, but you can actually sense things in the more calmer moments of the game. As you walk around, you can actually feel the raindrops hit Celine's suit as you explore, and tentacles attempt to grab your suit as you're walking through pools of red. These little additions to the DualSense controller really add a level of immersion that you will experience while playing Returnal. When it comes to game design, the developers did an exceptional job in this department. The level design here is truly amazing, and the fact that the map keeps changing in all areas each time you die is something that I personally have never experienced before in any other game. The visuals here are also breathtaking, and while I'll admit that some models look better than others, it's still impressive to look at. How the enemies move around the area can be quite frightening, as you may find yourself shooting at someone at a distance, only to find them jump right up at you and knock you down. The background music also adds a level of suspense to the atmosphere, and depending on what is happening on screen can actually really help change the mood, whether you're fighting a difficult battle or experiencing some of the more subtle moments of Celine's own memories of the past. Overall, if you're looking to experience the potential for what future PlayStation exclusive games will bring us for this upcoming generation, then Returnal would be a great way to start. Now, as I stated on my Twitter, I do believe that Returnal is indeed the first truly great PlayStation 5 exclusive title that has come out for this new generation of PlayStation. However, though it is a great game, it is not a perfect game. And I think that the roguelike gameplay element alone is going to be enough to keep a lot of gamers away, because this game is certainly going to get very frustrating for a lot of people at many times. And the whole concept of spending hours on a single run through only to lose all of your progress is not a very attractive idea that a lot of people can be sold on. However, I think if you're willing to push through, I think it'll be kind of worthy for the experience. Now, as much as I enjoyed the game's story, it isn't perfect at all. And though it has a great setting and a great concept, it has a very, very poor way of not giving you any clear explanation on exactly what is going on. Even by the end of the game, you will find yourself having asked so many questions over the course of your playthrough, and sadly, the game doesn't answer any of them. No matter how many audio logs you hear from past versions of Celine, or how many holographic images that you see across certain monuments or even artifacts or even specific areas, you still won't get a clear idea of exactly what has happened and how it actually played out. It would be the equivalent of watching Tom Cruise's Edge of Tomorrow film and them never explaining exactly how the time loops actually happen or how to stop them. And that is exactly what Returnal does as well. And heck, by the end, I did find myself getting a little bit frustrated because I just spent through 20 plus hours of difficult gameplay asking all these questions and you not giving me any clear answers. And because I think Returnal is kind of self-reliant and isn't trying to set up for a sequel, I think it needs to make things very, very clear so that gamers can understand exactly what is going on, instead of just leaving it to us to come up with our own theories. And while that can be fun for some people, that's not an idea that I myself really would like to entertain. Now, again, that doesn't stop it from being a fun game to play throughout. And on another note, I would, again, like to praise once again Returnal for allowing me to experience what haptic feedback is on the DualSense controller. If you haven't had a chance to experience what it actually does in your games, then you're really missing out, because now that I know what it did for Returnal, I can't wait to see how this function is going to be used for future games in the futures, because I think it's going to add a whole new level of immersion in terms of your overall experience when you play certain games on the PlayStation 5. Now, If I had to give Returnal my own personal rating, the highest I could give it is an 8 out of 10. If you do happen to get your hands on a copy of this, it's actually a solid game to add to your collection or your library of games that you'll probably build over the next number of years. But if you don't happen to enjoy this game all that much because you're not too fond of the roguelike idea, then don't stress, because again, this is an idea and a concept and a gameplay element that is going to push a lot of people off. But I think for those of us that did happen to work with it, it is a fun game worth playing. Now, that is my review of Returnal, and if you happen to enjoy this video by the end, I would really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to keep track of me in all my future videos and also reviews that will be coming up for the rest of the year. And like always, thank you guys for watching, you're awesome, and I will catch you next time.